The phone call came on November 18th at 2:34 p.m. I was in my office reviewing grant applications when my phone buzzed. I almost didn't answer. Our conversations had become increasingly strained over the past 5 years. But some part of me, the part that still hoped for reconciliation, made me pick up. "Hi, Mom. Catherine." Her voice was clipped. Formal. "I'm calling about Christmas." "Hey. What time should I arrive?" Silence. Then, "Actually, your father and I have discussed it. We think it's best if you don't come this year." I set down my pen. "What? Don't come to Christmas. It's better for everyone." "Better how?" "Catherine, your brother is bringing his fiancée. Your sister is bringing her husband and the twins. This is a family celebration. We want it to be nice, successful. Not complicated by your situation." "My situation? What situation is that, Mom?" "You know what I mean. You're 42. Unmarried. No children. Still working at that nonprofit thing. Your brother just made VP at his company. Sarah's husband is a surgeon. Their children are in private school. And you're..." "I'm what?" "You're an embarrassment, Catherine. There. I said it. You're an embarrassment to this family. You made choices that led nowhere. You have nothing to show for your life. And I don't want to spend Christmas explaining to Sarah's in-laws why my middle child is a failure." The words hit like physical blows. "I see," I said quietly. "This isn't personal. It's just realistic. You made your choices. You walked away from a perfectly good career in finance to work at a charity. You turned down marriage proposals from two perfectly suitable men. You chose this life. But that doesn't mean we have to celebrate it." "Hey," I said. "Okay, what?" "Okay, I won't come to Christmas." "Good. I'm glad you understand." "I understand perfectly, Mom." I hung up, sat in my office staring at the wall for 10 minutes. Then I went back to reviewing grant applications. Because 847 children were depending on the Children's Hope Foundation to fund their medical treatments. And my mother's opinion of my life didn't change that. I hadn't always worked in nonprofit. 20 years ago I graduated from Wharton with an MBA. Top 10% of my class. Recruited by Goldman Sachs, Morgan Stanley, McKinsey. Offers ranging from $180,000 to $220,000. I chose Goldman. Investment banking. 80-hour weeks. Deals worth billions. Bonuses that paid for luxury apartments and designer wardrobes. My parents were thrilled. Finally, Mom said at my graduation. A child who's making something of herself. My older brother, James, was already a marketing director at Procter & Gamble. Making $160,000. Successful. Stable. My younger sister, Sarah, was in medical school. On track to become a pediatrician. Mom bragged about her constantly. And I was the investment banker. The one making the most money. The one with the impressive title. For 3 years I lived that life. Manhattan apartment. Expense account. Client dinners at restaurants where entrees cost $85. I wore Armani suits and carried a Prada bag and worked until 2 a.m. reviewing pitch books. I was miserable. Not because the work was hard. I didn't mind hard work. But because it meant nothing. I spent my days helping billionaires get richer. Structuring deals that moved money from one column to another. Creating shareholder value. Maximizing returns. And every night I went home to my empty apartment and wondered what the point was. The breaking point came on a Tuesday in October. I was walking to the subway after a 16-hour day. Exhausted. Carrying a briefcase full of documents I'd need to review before a 7 a.m. meeting. I passed a man sleeping on a cardboard box. Mid-50s. Worn clothes. A sign. Veteran. Hungry. Anything helps. I'd passed him every day for 6 months. Never stopped. Too busy. Too tired. Too focused on getting home. That Tuesday I stopped. "Excuse me," I said. "Have you eaten today?" He looked up. Surprised that someone was talking to him. "No, ma'am." I bought him dinner. Pizza from a place on the corner. 2 slices and a soda. Cost me $8. He cried when I handed it to him. "God bless you," he said. "You're an angel." I wasn't an angel. I was an investment banker who just helped a pharmaceutical company structure a deal that would increase drug prices by 23%. But this man thought I'd done something meaningful. For $8. I went home that night and couldn't stop thinking about it. The math didn't make sense. I'd helped move $400 million in a deal that afternoon. I'd personally made the bank $3 million in fees. My bonus would be $120,000. But I'd never seen anyone cry with gratitude over my PowerPoint presentations. 6 months later, I left Goldman Sachs. Took a job at a small nonprofit called Children's Hope Foundation. They funded medical treatments for kids whose families couldn't afford them. Cancer treatments, heart surgeries, transplants. My salary, $52,000. My parents were horrified. "You're throwing away your career," Dad said. "You went to Wharton to work at a charity?" Mom asked. "Do you know how embarrassing that is?" "I'm helping children," I said. "You're wasting your potential," Mom replied. "James is making real money. Sarah will be a doctor. And you're going to be a non-profit worker making poverty wages." "I'm making enough." "Enough for what? You can't even afford to buy a house on that salary." "I don't need a house." "Everyone needs a house, Catherine. Everyone needs stability. You're throwing that away for what? So you can feel good about yourself." "Yes," I said simply. "That's exactly why." She didn't understand. She never understood. That was 17 years ago. In those 17 years, I'd built Children's Hope Foundation from a small organization operating in 3 cities to a national foundation operating in 47 states. When I started, we had 4 employees and a budget of $800,000. We helped 127 children that first year. Now we had 143 employees and a budget of $68 million. Last year alone, we'd helped 8,247 children receive life-saving medical treatment. I'd spent 17 years building something that mattered. I'd written grants, courted donors, spoken at conferences, built partnerships with hospitals, pharmaceutical companies, and medical device manufacturers. I'd negotiated with insurance companies to cover treatments they initially denied. I'd fought with hospital billing departments to reduce costs. I'd sat with families in waiting rooms while their children went through surgery, holding their hands, promising them we'd figure out the money. 3 years ago, I'd been promoted to executive director. Salary, $140,000. Not Goldman Sachs money, but enough. 2 years ago, we'd launched an innovative partnership with 6 major children's hospitals. A program that caught complications early and reduced treatment costs by 34% while improving outcomes. 1 year ago, that program had been featured in the New England Journal of Medicine. Peer-reviewed research showing that our model saved lives and money simultaneously. 6 months ago, we'd been approached by a major philanthropic foundation. They wanted to donate $15 million to expand our program nationally. I'd spent 6 months negotiating that donation, working with their team, proving our impact, demonstrating how their money would save lives. The donation came through in October. Total amount, $12.4 million. The largest single donation in Children's Hope Foundation history. With that money, we'd expand to serve 15,000 children annually. We'd open offices in 12 new cities. We'd hire 89 new staff members. We'd save an estimated 2,100 lives over the next 5 years. But my mother thought I was an embarrassment. After Mom's call, I didn't tell anyone about Christmas. My colleagues assumed I was spending the holiday with family. I didn't correct them. Christmas Day, I volunteered at a children's hospital in Philadelphia. Played board games with kids who couldn't go home. Read stories to a 7-year-old girl recovering from a bone marrow transplant. Held a newborn in the NICU whose mother was too exhausted to hold him herself. At 8 p.m., I went home to my apartment in Center City. Small. 1 bedroom. Modest. I'd never needed more. I made pasta for dinner. Watched a movie. Went to bed at 10 p.m. It was one of the best Christmases I'd had in years. Because I'd spent it doing work that mattered. With people who appreciated it. My mother's voice echoed in my head sometimes. "You're an embarrassment." But when I looked at the photo on my desk, 8-year-old Marcus, who'd received a heart transplant we funded last year, smiling with his family, I knew the truth. I wasn't an embarrassment. I was exactly where I was supposed to be. The invitation arrived in early December. Children's Hope Foundation had been selected to receive the Humanitarian Impact Award at the annual Children's Hospital Network Gala. The award recognized organizations that had made significant contributions to pediatric healthcare. The gala was scheduled for January 24 at the Bellevue Hotel in Philadelphia. Black tie. 600 guests. Dinner, speeches, and awards ceremony. "You're accepting the award," my board chair Margaret said during our weekly call. "This is your achievement, Catherine. You built this organization. It's a team effort. Catherine, stop being modest. You turned an $800,000 operation into a $68 million national foundation. You secured the largest donation in our history. You've personally overseen programs that have saved thousands of lives. Accept the damn award. I smiled. Margaret was 83 years old. A retired hospital CO. She didn't tolerate false modesty. Hey, I said. I'll accept it. Good. Or something nice. And bring a guest if you want. I didn't have a guest. I'd been single for 4 years. My last relationship had ended when he told me I cared more about other people's children than building a life with him. He wasn't wrong. I'll come alone, I said. Your family will be there though, right? No. Why not? They're not interested in this part of my life. Margaret was quiet for a moment. Their loss, she finally said. Our gain. January 24th arrived cold and clear. I spent the morning at the office, finishing reports. At 3 p.m. I went home to get ready. The dress was simple. Navy blue. Four-length. Elegant but not flashy. I'd bought it on sale at Nordstrom for $200. My jewelry was minimal. Pearl earrings my grandmother had given me. A silver necklace I'd owned for 15 years. I looked at myself in the mirror. 42 years old. Unmarried. No children. Working at that nonprofit thing. My mother's words still stung. But tonight, I'd be honored for the work I'd spent 17 years building. That had to count for something. I arrived at the Bellevue at 6:15 p.m. The grand ballroom was spectacular. Crystal chandeliers. Round tables with ivory linens. Each table seated 10. Place cards at every setting. I found my table. Table 5. Front section. Reserved for award recipients and board members. Margaret was already there. She stood when she saw me. Catherine. You look beautiful. Thank you. Nervous. A little. Don't be. You deserve this. The other seats at our table filled quickly. Members of our board. Major donors. The CEO of Children's Hospital of Philadelphia. A journalist from the Philadelphia Inquirer. At 6:45 the lights dimmed. Guests found their seats. I scanned the room out of habit. 600 people. Hospital administrators. Foundation directors. Major philanthropists. Medical professionals. And then I saw her. Table 19. Back section. Wearing a burgundy dress I recognized from Sarah's wedding 2 years ago. My mother. She was with a woman I didn't recognize. Mid-60s. Well-dressed. They were laughing about something. My heart started pounding. What was she doing here? Margaret noticed my expression. You okay? My mother is here. What? Where? Table 19. Margaret looked. The woman in burgundy? Yes. Did you invite her? No. I didn't tell her about tonight. Then how? The MC took the stage. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the 23rd Annual Children's Hospital Network Gala. We have an inspiring evening ahead. Dinner will be served shortly, followed by our awards ceremony. I couldn't focus on his words. My mother was here. At my event. An event celebrating the work she'd called an embarrassment. How had she even gotten an invitation? Dinner was served. I ate mechanically. Salmon. Asparagus. Roasted potatoes. Margaret kept glancing at me. Catherine, are you going to be okay for your speech? I'm fine. You're not fine. You're pale. I'm fine, I repeated. At table 19 Mom was eating. Chatting with her friend. She hadn't seen me yet. The room was too large. The lighting too dim. At 8 p.m. the awards ceremony began. Our first award tonight is for innovation in pediatric care. A hospital in Boston won. The administrator gave a speech. Thanked her team. Sat down. Our next award is for medical research excellence. A research team from Johns Hopkins won. More speeches. More applause. My hands were shaking. And now, the MC said, we come to our most significant honor of the evening. The Humanitarian Impact Award. This award recognizes an organization or individual who has made extraordinary contributions to improving the lives of children facing medical challenges. He paused. This year's recipient has transformed pediatric healthcare in ways few people fully understand. 17 years ago, she left a lucrative career in investment banking to join a small nonprofit with a budget under $1 million and a staff of 4 people. I could see my mother now. He was paying attention. Probably wondering who the recipient was. Under her leadership, that organization has grown into a national foundation operating in 47 states with a budget of $68 million. Last year alone, They provided funding for life-saving medical treatments for over 8,000 children whose families couldn't afford care. Mom's friend leaned over and whispered something. Mom nodded. She personally secured the largest donation in the organization's history, $12.4 million from the Hartwell Foundation, which will allow them to expand their programs and serve 15,000 children annually. The screens behind the stage lit up. My photo appeared. Professional headshot. Below it, Catherine Morrison, Executive Director, Children's Hope Foundation. Her innovative partnerships with major children's hospitals have been featured in peer-reviewed medical journals. Her work has saved an estimated 4,200 lives and prevented millions in unnecessary medical costs. My photo was now on 3 screens. 20 feet tall. Please join me in honoring this year's Humanitarian Impact Award recipient, Catherine Morrison. The room erupted in applause. Everyone stood. I stood slowly. Walked toward the stage. As I passed table 19, I looked directly at my mother. She was frozen, staring at the screens. Her mouth was open. Her friend was staring too. Then she looked down and saw me walking past their table. She grabbed Mom's arm. Whispered something. Mom turned. Saw me. Our eyes met. Her face went completely white. I kept walking. Up the stairs. Onto the stage. The MC handed me the award. Crystal sculpture. Heavy. Beautiful. Congratulations, Catherine. Would you like to say a few words? I took the microphone. Looked out at 600 faces. And one face in particular. My mother at table 19. Still frozen. Still staring. I began speaking. Thank you. 17 years ago, I made a decision that confused a lot of people. I left a career in investment banking to work at a nonprofit. I took an 80% pay cut. I gave up the Manhattan apartment and the expense account and the year-end bonuses. Light laughter from the audience. People asked me why. My family asked me why. My colleagues thought I was crazy. I could see Mom clearly now. He was crying. But I made that choice because I'd realized something important. Money is just a tool. Success isn't measured by your salary or your title or the size of your house. Success is measured by impact. By the lives you touch. By the difference you make. I held up the award. This award represents 8,247 children who received medical care they needed. Children like Marcus, who got a heart transplant at 8 years old and is now a healthy 5th grader who wants to be a doctor. Children like Sophia, who beat leukemia and just started college. Children like James, who survived a brain tumor and is now teaching other families how to navigate the medical system. My voice broke slightly. Those children are my success. Their families are my success. The 143 people who work at Children's Hope Foundation and dedicate their lives to this mission, they're my success. I looked directly at table 19. I don't have a big house. I don't have a corporate title. I'm not married. I don't have children of my own. By some standards, I might look unsuccessful. But I know the truth. I've spent 17 years building something that saves lives. That gives hope to families in their darkest moments. That makes the world measurably better. Tears were streaming down Mom's face. So thank you to the Children's Hospital Network for this incredible honor. Thank you to my team at Children's Hope Foundation. Thank you to our donors and partners and supporters. And thank you to every child and family who trusted us to walk with them through their medical journey. The room stood. Standing ovation. I walked off stage. Back to my table. Margaret hugged me. That was perfect. Thank you. Your mother is a mess. I know. Are you going to talk to her? Not here. The ceremony continued. More awards. More speeches. At 9:30 the formal program ended. Networking began. People mingled. Approached the award recipients. Asked for business cards. I was immediately surrounded. Hospital administrators wanting to partner with us. Donors interested in supporting our work. Journalists requesting interviews. At 10:15 I saw my mother approaching. She was walking slowly. Like someone in a dream. Her friend was behind her, looking uncertain. The crowd around me noticed. Sensed something private was happening. They drifted away. Mom stopped 3 feet from me. Catherine. Mom. I didn't know. Didn't know what? Any of this. The foundation. The work. She gestured at the screens where my photo still displayed. All of this. You never asked, I said quietly. You said you worked at a nonprofit. A small charity. It was small. When I started. I built it into what it is now. $12 million. $12.4 million. The Hartwell donation. Plus $68 million in annual operating budget. Plus partnerships with 47 hospitals. Plus. Stop. He was crying harder now. Please stop. Her friend stepped forward. I'm Susan Porter. I'm on the board of Children's Hospital. I invited your mother tonight. I had no idea you were related. I just knew she lived in the Philadelphia area and mentioned she had children. I thought she'd enjoy the gala. Thank you for bringing her, I said. Susan looked between us. I'll give you two some privacy. She walked away. Mom and I stood there. Finally, she said, I called you an embarrassment. Yes. I uninvited you from Christmas. Yes. I told you that you were a failure. That you had nothing to show for your life. I remember. Catherine, I'm so sorry. I'm so incredibly sorry. Why? I asked. Why did you say those things? Why did you believe them? Because I'm a fool, she whispered. Because I measured success by the wrong things. Because I compared you to James and Sarah and their salaries and titles and I couldn't see what you were actually doing. I told you what I was doing. You didn't want to hear it. You said you worked at a charity. You said you helped sick children. I thought that meant you were a low-level employee. A caseworker. Someone who filed paperwork. I didn't understand you were running the entire organization. Building it. Transforming it. Would it have mattered? I asked quietly. If I told you I was the executive director? If I told you about the budget and the staff and the children we were saving? Would you have respected me then? Or would you have still thought I should have stayed in banking and made more money? She was silent. That's what I thought, I said. Catherine. Mom, I've spent 17 years being dismissed by you. 17 years of family dinners where James's promotions were celebrated and Sarah's achievements were praised and my work was glossed over as that non-profit thing. 17 years of feeling like I was the disappointment. The embarrassment. The child who didn't live up to expectations. You're not. I know I'm not, I interrupted. Tonight proved that. 600 people standing and applauding for work I've spent nearly 2 decades building. Major hospitals wanting to partner with us. A $12.4 million donation because someone believed in our mission. Children alive today because of programs I created. I took a breath. I know my worth, Mom. The question is, do you? She stared at me. Yes, I see it now. I'm so sorry it took this long. I'm sorry too, I said. I'm sorry you missed 17 years of my life because you were so focused on what you thought success should look like that you couldn't see what it actually looked like. Can you forgive me? Eventually, I said. But not tonight. Tonight I'm going to celebrate this award with people who've believed in me from the beginning. People who saw my potential when you saw my failure. People who understood that saving children's lives matters more than salary and titles. Catherine. Go home, Mom. Go home and think about why you said the things you said. Why you believed them. Why you couldn't see your own daughter for who she really was. When can I see you again? When you're ready to actually know me, I said. Not the version you want me to be. The real me. The person who chose meaning over money. Impact over image. Children's lives over corporate prestige. She nodded slowly. I'll call you. Okay. She started to walk away. Then stopped. Turn back. For what it's worth, Catherine, I'm proud of you. I should have said that 17 years ago. I'm saying it now. I'm so incredibly proud of you. Thank you, I said quietly. She left. I stood there for a moment. Then Margaret appeared beside me. How are you feeling? Tired, I admitted. Want to leave? Not yet. I want to talk to the people who came here to support us. The donors. The partners. The believers. That's my girl, Margaret said. We spent the next hour networking. I talked to hospital CEOs about expanding our programs. I discussed partnership opportunities with 3 major foundations. I gave interviews to 2 journalists about our model and our impact. At 11:30 I finally left. In the Uber home I looked at my phone. 17 messages. 3 from board members congratulating me. 2 from major donors wanting to schedule meetings. 5 from colleagues who'd watched a live stream of the ceremony. 4 from journalists requesting interviews. 2 from hospital administrators. And 1 from my sister Sarah. Catherine, I just saw a video of your speech online. Why didn't you tell us about any of this? I had no idea. Call me. I didn't call. I went home. Changed into pajamas. I sat on my couch with my award on the coffee table. Looked at the photo of Marcus on my phone. The 8-year-old with a new heart. Smiling. Alive. That was success. Not my mother's approval. Not my family's understanding. Just that smile. That life. That moment of hope in someone's darkest time. I fell asleep on the couch with my tea cooling on the table and my award reflecting the streetlights from outside. Mom called 3 days later. Catherine. Mom. Can we talk? I'm listening. I've spent the past 3 days reading about your work. Everything I could find online. Articles. Interviews. The medical journal study. The Foundation's annual reports. I read all of it. Okay. I didn't understand. I truly didn't understand what you were building. I thought nonprofit meant small. Ineffective. A nice hobby for people who couldn't succeed in the real world. I was so wrong. Yes, I said. You were. Can I come see your office? Meet your team? Actually learn about the work you do. I was quiet for a long moment. Why? I asked. Why now? Because you saw me on a stage. Because 600 people applauded? If I'd won this award and nobody had been there to see it, would you care? I want to care about the right things, she said quietly. I want to understand what matters to you. What you've sacrificed for. What you believe in. This isn't about sacrifice, I said. I didn't sacrifice anything. I chose this life. Deliberately. Enthusiastically. I chose meaning over money. Impact over image. And I'd choose it again 1,000 times. I know that now. Do you really? Or are you just impressed because a fancy gala gave me an award? Silence. Then, both, she admitted. I'm impressed by the award. I'm ashamed I didn't see it before the award. And I'm trying to do better. That's honest, I said. So can I visit? Yes. But Mom, this is a working office. We're not a showpiece. We're busy people saving children's lives. If you come, you'll see the reality. The grant applications. The desperate families. The hospital bills. The hard decisions about who we can help and who we can't. It's not glamorous. I want to see all of it, she said. Hey. Next Tuesday. 10 a.m. I'll be there. Tuesday at 10 a.m., Mom arrived at our office. 3 floors of a converted warehouse in South Philadelphia. Open workspace. Conference rooms. A reception area with photos of children we'd helped. She stood in the reception area for a long moment, looking at the photos. These are the children you've saved? Some of them. We have thousands more. I gave her the tour. Showed her the program offices where caseworkers evaluated applications. The finance department that processed payments to hospitals. The donor relations team that maintained relationships with supporters. The communications staff that told our stories. We stopped at my office. Small. Window overlooking the street. Desk covered in files. This is where you work? Most days. When I'm not visiting hospitals or meeting with donors. He picked up the photo on my desk. Marcus. The boy with the new heart. Who is this? Marcus. He was 8 when he got a heart transplant we funded. He's 12 now. Healthy. Happy. Wants to be a cardiologist. You kept his photo. I keep photos of lots of children. They remind me why this matters. Mom set the photo down carefully. Catherine, I need to tell you something. Okay. When you left Goldman Sachs, I thought you'd made the biggest mistake of your life. I thought you were throwing away your future. Your potential. Your security. I was so angry at you. I know. But I was wrong. You didn't throw anything away. You built something extraordinary. You found work that matters. Work that saves lives. Work that gives hope. And I was too blind to see it. Why? I asked. Why were you so blind to it? She sat down. Looked out the window. Because I measured success by the wrong things, she said slowly. I grew up poor, Catherine. Really poor. My father worked in a factory. My mother cleaned houses. We had nothing. I spent my childhood wearing hand-me-downs and eating government cheese. When I married your father and later Richard, I finally had stability. Security. And I wanted that for my children. I wanted you to have what I didn't have. Money. Status. Safety. I understand that, I said. But Mom, I do have security. I have a good salary. I own my apartment. I have retirement savings. I'm not struggling. But you could have had so much more. Or what? More money I don't need? A bigger apartment I'd be alone in? A corporate title that means nothing when I go to sleep at night. He was crying. I wanted you to be safe. I am safe, I said gently. I'm safe in a life I chose. A life that fills me with purpose. Every day I wake up knowing that the work I do matters. That children are alive because of decisions I make. That families have hope because of programs I built. How many people can say that about their work? Not many, she whispered. I have enough money. Enough security. And I have meaning. That's more than most people get. That's everything I wanted. She looked at me. You're remarkable, Catherine. I'm sorry it took me 42 years to see it. 42 years minus 17 years of me doing this work equals 25 years, I said. You saw me clearly for 25 years. It's the last 17 you missed. But we can work on that. How? By you actually asking about my life. My work. What I'm proud of. What challenges I'm facing. Not comparing me to James or Sarah. Just seeing me as myself. I can do that, she said. Can you? I'm going to try. Really try. Over the next 6 months she did try. She called every Sunday. Asked about my week. Listened when I told her about funding decisions and partnership negotiations and children we'd helped. She came to a fundraising event in March. Sat at a table with donors. Watched me give a speech. Afterward she introduced herself to people. I'm Catherine's mother. I'm so proud of her work. In April she brought my father to the office. Showed him around. Explained our programs. He listened. Asked questions. Seemed genuinely interested. In May she told James and Sarah about the award. Showed them the video of my speech. Sarah called me crying. Why didn't you tell us about any of this? You never asked, I said simply. We should have asked. Yes. You should have. In June the whole family came to our annual gala. Mom, Dad, James and his fiancée Sarah and her family. They sat at table 7. Wore formal attire. Clapped when I was introduced. During my speech I looked at them. My family. Finally seeing me. Not the embarrassment. Not the failure. Not the disappointing middle child who'd made bad choices. Just me. Catherine Morrison. Executive Director of Children's Hope Foundation. Builder of programs that saved lives. Protector of children. Believer in meaning over money. After the gala we went to dinner. This was incredible, James said. I had no idea your organization was this big. This important. It is, I said. Why didn't you tell us? I tried, I said. For years. But you weren't listening. We're listening now, Sarah said quietly. I appreciate that. Mom reached across the table. Took my hand. I'm so sorry for what I said. About Christmas. About you being an embarrassment. I'll regret those words for the rest of my life. I know, Mom. Can you forgive me? I thought about it. About the hurt. The years of feeling dismissed. The phone call uninviting me from Christmas. But I also thought about the past 6 months. About her trying. About her showing up. About her finally seeing me. Yes, I said. I forgive you. She cried. Right there in the restaurant. Dad squeezed her shoulder. We're all proud of you, Catherine. So proud. Thank you, I said. And I meant it. Not because I needed their approval. Not because their pride validated my choices. But because after 17 years, my family finally understood what I'd known all along. Success isn't measured by salary or status. It's measured by the lives you touch. The hope you give. The difference you make. And by that measure I was the most successful person at the table.